I'm going to cover the Toronto section of the Bruce Trail in 5 hikes, end to end, without using a car. I'll start at Toronto Union Station, take GO Transit as far as I can, then ride to the trail by bicycle. The Toronto section measures 50 kilometers. On each hike, I'll cover about 10 kilometers, go back for my bike, and ride back to the nearest bus. The first hike starts underneath Highway 401 outside Milton and leads into a beautiful spruce forest. I'll watch for the spot where Philip Gosling painted the first trail marker and a ghost bike on a tricky stretch of road. I'll cross the stunning Dufferin Quarry Bridge and follow the trail along the Niagara Escarpment where 500-year-old cedar trees cling to the cliff edge. I love these stiles over the fence. They're kind of fun to come across. And I see what I have been looking for, which is the plaque to the first blaze. Near this spot, the first blaze on the Bruce Trail was painted in July 1962. And I know who painted it. Philip Gosling painted that first blaze, and what a story this is. In 1960, there was no Bruce Trail, but a man named Ray Lowes in Hamilton. He was a hiker from Saskatchewan. He wanted to hike, and he kept coming across no trespassing signs. And he thought, wouldn't it be great if there was just one trail where you can just go? And what about along the Niagara Escarpment? He got some friends together. One of them was Robert Bateman, the naturalist painter, a few others, and one of them was Philip Gosling. They thought, yeah, why not try to create a trail along the Niagara Escarpment? Let's start in Niagara Falls at Queenston Heights and go all the way to the end of the Bruce Peninsula at Tobermory. 900 kilometers, why not? Did they go to the government and ask them or anything like? No, they just decided to do it themselves. Go around and ask landowners, can we come through your property and create a hiking trail? An amazing thing to take on. Philip Gosling was the first trail manager. He ran a real estate agency. He took a year off. He got a grant from the Atkinson Foundation, which is associated with the Toronto Star. It was only $12,000, but he took the year and he just went. He had other volunteers helping him, but he approached landowners along the trail and said, would you give us permission to create this trail? And amazingly, the idea of a 900 kilometer hiking trail just kind of appealed to people, and they said yes. Most of them said yes. Sometimes you'll see that the trail goes along the road, missing some properties, but mostly people said yes. Then in 1962, Philip Gosling was here marking the first blaze on the tree, and that is a real characteristic of the Bruce Trail. That's a signature of the Bruce Trail, these white blazes. One blaze means you're doing great, keep going straight. 2 blazes, one off and to the right, means turn right. 2 blazes, one off and to the left, means turn left. So you can never get lost. Philip Gosling went on to do other things, but this was one of his great achievements. He is now 91, and he is the honorary president of the Bruce Trail Conservancy. I love coming to the Bruce Trail, love hiking along the trail. During the lockdown, I really missed it. This is the Toronto section, but we weren't allowed. If you live in Toronto, which I do, not allowed out of Toronto, out of the Toronto Health region. I've just come out on number 6 side road, and this is a bit tricky because that is a long hill. So the trail markers are suggesting you cross the road right here so that if a car comes over that hill, you've got plenty of time to see it. It's a tricky road. You can see there's really no shoulder. And to solve the problem, the Toronto Bruce Trail Club got permission to run the trail on private land, but inside the highway fence, just to keep people safe. Here's a reminder how tricky this stretch can be. A ghost bike, a memorial to a cyclist killed on this hill 2 years ago in 2019. The bike belonged to Angelo D'Amato from Guelph, 65 years old. The photo shows him quite a bit younger. What a tragedy. Cycling was his favorite pastime, the story says. And then right away up we go onto the escarpment. This is so beautiful. And around a tree. This is great. And we're really getting into the kind of trail that Bruce Trail hikers love. I see a sign. Poison ivy, don't want to walk into that. Okay, 3 leaves. This is very typical of the Bruce Trail. Typical of some parts anyway. The roots and rocks. Won't see any cyclists along here. No skateboarders, no rollerbladers, no scooters. This is a hiking trail. And look at this, you have to watch your step, of course. Look at these cedar trees. I love cedar. I love the bark, and I love the needles, if you can call them needles. Some of these are supposed to be like 500 years old, and they just cling to the escarpment. Let's see if I can get a shot of this. I don't know where that trunk is coming from. The tree just grows up out of the rock, right at the edge of the escarpment, and you can see a lot of other trees are doing the same. And that is typical all along this ledge. We're coming up to the famous Quarry Bridge. This is fabulous. Steel bridge opened in 1991, and it spans this gap in the Niagara Escarpment. Look at this. What happened was that in 1962, remember Philip Gosling and Ray Lowes, they're meeting in 1960, have this vision of a hiking trail all along the Niagara Escarpment, and they did the first blaze in 1962. Well, that same year, wow, it's noisy. That same year, 1962, a quarry company came along and blasted right through the entire escarpment. You can see these great cliffs on either side. So when Philip Gosling was laying his trail, of course, he had to somehow lay it so that hikers could get down the escarpment and then back up again. He found a route. But it was a real wake-up call for people. What some people thought of as a gap was, to other people, a scar. That was really the beginning of several stages that led to the designation of the Niagara Escarpment in Ontario as a World Biosphere Reserve. The irony is that as bad as this gap was, it led to the building of this bridge, and it's now a big feature, it's a big highlight of the Toronto section. So sometimes what's a bad thing becomes a good thing. And around the corner here, I just want to see this. There is a plaque to the people who've donated to the construction of this bridge. The Bridge the Gap project, $150,000 was raised. And here are all the donors here, includes the Ontario Ministry of Tourism and Recreation. The Toronto Bruce Trail Club's there, and the Dufferin Aggregates and Dufferin Construction. So these are the people who are involved here. Oh, look at this, I'd never noticed this before. This plaque is obviously faded. Oh, it's fallen off. History of the quarry. Okay. They've even got a little bench. You can sit and eat your lunch and take in the dust and noise of the quarry building. Okay, I've made it to my destination, 11-kilometer mark. This is Pear Tree Park, the plaque garden. These are plaques to people who've donated to the Bruce Trail. Bruce Trail needs money for maintaining the trail, but also they buy up land along the trail to keep the trail in perpetuity. So if land becomes available and they got the money, they buy it. And you know, if they got a plaque, they've donated generously. Here's a nice one. There's no better way to introduce children to the wonder and glories of nature than the Bruce Trail. Shirley Grant. So there's quite a few plaques. Here's a standalone one, and I recognize the name on this one. Marlis Butcher. She is kind of a modern day Philip Gosling. She has contributed so much to the Bruce Trail in various executive positions, as trail director of the Toronto Club, and she's got a book out. She's written a book called Park Bagger. She's been to all of Canada's national parks, 47 of them. So a great naturalist, great adventurer, and a great promoter of the Bruce Trail.